What if the greatest secret to lasting wealth has nothing to do with your bank account, your job, your investments, or anything you do during your waking hours at all? What if I told you that the most powerful money-creating force in the universe activates not when you are working, not when you are planning, not when you are striving, but when you are lying still in the darkness, in those sacred moments just before sleep claims your conscious mind? Tonight, you stand at the threshold of a teaching that has remained hidden in plain sight for generations. The knowledge I am about to share with you has transformed the lives of ordinary men and women who discovered that abundance is not something you chase, it is something you become from within, and then watch as it materializes in forms that your logical mind could never have predicted or arranged. There is a method, a precise and powerful technique, that when practiced for 7 consecutive nights, begins to reshape the very fabric of your financial reality. This is not wishful thinking. This is not fantasy. This is the operation of a law as certain as the law of gravity, a principle that governs the movement of circumstances, the attraction of opportunities, and the multiplication of wealth in the lives of those who learn to work with the deeper levels of mind. You are here because something within you already knows there is more. Something within you senses that the struggle and strain you have accepted as normal is not the way it was meant to be. That inner knowing is not an accident. It is your subconscious mind, the very power we will speak of tonight, calling you home to a truth that will set you free. Before we begin this journey together, I ask you to do something as an act of faith. Subscribe to this channel and press the notification bell so that you never miss these teachings. Press the like button now, not merely as a gesture, but as a declaration that you are ready to receive. And in the comments below, write these words, "My wealth is awakening." As you type those words, feel their truth. Let them sink into you. For you are about to discover that what you impress upon your deeper mind becomes the mold from which your outer life is cast. Now, let us begin. There exists within you a power so vast, so creative, so intimately connected to the source of all abundance that if you could glimpse even a fraction of its potential, you would never again worry about money, provision, or security. This power does not sleep, even when your body rests. It does not diminish, even when your circumstances seem to suggest otherwise. It operates continuously, faithfully, and with absolute precision according to the impressions you give it. This power is your subconscious mind. The tragedy of most lives is not a lack of opportunity or a shortage of resources. The tragedy is that men and women go to their graves never having discovered that they carry within themselves the very treasure they spent their entire existence seeking outside. They search in the marketplace when the gold is buried in their own garden. They knock on 1,000 doors when the door of infinite supply has always been inside them, waiting to be opened by the key of belief. Tonight, I am going to give you that key. For 7 nights, you are going to practice a method of impressing your subconscious mind with the reality of abundance before you fall asleep. This is not a new technique in the sense that it was invented recently. It is ancient. It is timeless. It was known to the sages, the mystics, and those who understood that the invisible world of mind precedes and creates the visible world of experience. But for many, it has remained forbidden, not because it was outlawed, but because the conditions of modern life have made it almost impossible to practice. You are too busy. Too distracted, too exhausted, too filled with the noise of the day to enter the silence where creation happens. Tonight, that changes. The scripture tells us in Proverbs 23 verse 7, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." Notice that it does not say "as a man thinketh in his head." The head is the domain of the conscious mind, the analytical, reasoning, doubting faculty that argues with every dream you dare to hold. The heart, in the language of ancient wisdom, refers to the subconscious mind, the feeling nature, the deep interior self that accepts what is impressed upon it and then projects that impression into your world of experience. When you go to sleep at night, your conscious mind gradually withdraws. The ceaseless chatter grows quiet. The doubts that plagued you during the day lose their grip. The arguments and objections recede into silence. And there, in that liminal space between waking and sleeping, the doorway to your subconscious mind opens wide. Whatever you carry through that doorway becomes a seed planted in the most fertile soil in creation. Most people carry their worries through that door. They rehearse their debts. They review their failures. They replay the conversations that hurt them and imagine the disasters that might befall them tomorrow. Night after night, they plant seeds of fear, lack, and limitation in the very soil that would have grown them harvests of abundance if only they had known what they were doing. You are going to do something different. For 7 nights, you are going to plant seeds of wealth. You are going to impress upon your subconscious mind the feeling of being wealthy, prosperous, and financially secure. Not the words alone, for words without feeling are seeds without life. But the feeling, the inner experience, the sense of having already received. Let me tell you of a man I shall call Edward. Edward was 47 years old when he first encountered this teaching. He had worked hard all his life, honest work, respectable work, but there never seemed to be enough. Every time he managed to save a small sum, some unexpected expense arose to consume it. He began to believe that he was simply unlucky, that prosperity was meant for others but not for him. This belief was his problem, though he did not yet know it. One evening, Edward attended a lecture where these principles were explained. He was skeptical at first. How could lying in bed thinking about wealth possibly bring wealth? It seemed too simple, too passive, too good to be true. But something in him responded to the teaching. Perhaps it was the part of him that remembered his childhood dreams before life had conditioned them out of him. Perhaps it was the subconscious itself, recognizing truth. That night, Edward tried the technique. Before falling asleep, he did not merely think about money. He imagined a scene that implied he already had all the money he needed. He saw himself in his mind's eye sitting at his kitchen table, looking at his bank statement, feeling a profound sense of relief and gratitude. He made the scene vivid. He felt the paper in his hands. He saw the numbers, far more than he had ever seen in his actual account. And most importantly, he felt the feeling of security, of ease, of thankfulness that such a balance would give him. He fell asleep in that feeling. The first morning, nothing external had changed. But something felt different inside him. He was calmer. Less anxious. He went about his day as usual, but with a strange undercurrent of hope he had not felt in years. The second night, he repeated the practice. This time, the scene came more easily. The feeling was stronger. By the fourth night, Edward noticed that his daytime thoughts were beginning to shift. Where before he had habitually worried about bills and expenses, he now caught himself thinking about possibilities and opportunities. Ideas began to surface in his mind, practical ideas, actionable ideas, that he had never considered before. On the sixth day, Edward received a phone call from a former colleague. This man was starting a new business and needed someone with Edward's particular skills. The offer was remarkable, nearly double what Edward was currently earning, with profit sharing that could grow substantially over time. Edward accepted. Within 3 months, his financial situation had transformed so completely that he struggled to reconcile his new reality with the life of lack he had known before. Did lying in bed at night cause this opportunity? The skeptic would say no. The skeptic would call it coincidence, luck, timing. But Edward knew better. He had made hundreds of contacts in his career, yet never had an offer like this materialized before. Something had changed, not in the external world, but in him. His subconscious mind had accepted the impression of prosperity, and like a faithful servant, it had rearranged his outer world to match his inner conviction. This is the law. This is how it works. The book of Mark records the words, "What things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them." Notice the tense. Believe that ye receive, present tense. Not that you will receive at some future date, but that you receive now, in the present moment, in the act of asking itself. This is the secret of effective prayer. This is the secret of the pre-sleep technique. You enter the state of having already received, and from that state, the physical manifestation follows as surely as the harvest follows the planting. But you must understand something essential about the nature of your subconscious mind. It does not distinguish between a real experience and one vividly imagined with feeling. To your subconscious mind, both are equally real. Both create the same impressions. Both generate the same patterns of manifestation. This is why the pre-sleep state is so powerful. When you are fully awake, your conscious mind is active, and it tends to interfere. It says, "This is just imagination. This is not real. You are pretending." These objections weaken the impression. But in the drowsy state before sleep, the conscious mind relaxes its vigilance. The subconscious is laid bare, receptive, like soft clay ready to receive whatever imprint you give it. I want you to practice something tonight. As you lie in bed, waiting for sleep to come, do not drift aimlessly into unconsciousness. Do not review the problems of the day. Do not scroll through your phone filling your mind with images and information that have nothing to do with your goals. Instead, create a single scene in your imagination, a brief scene, perhaps only a few seconds long, that implies you are already wealthy. Perhaps you see yourself paying off a debt in full and feeling the freedom that comes with that. Perhaps you see yourself checking your account and seeing a balance that makes you smile. Perhaps you hear a friend congratulating you on your newfound prosperity. Perhaps you feel the texture of something you have purchased with your abundance, running your fingers over it, enjoying the reality of it. Whatever scene you choose, make it personal. Make it specific. And most importantly, make it feel real. Loop it in your mind again and again, always ending with the feeling of satisfaction, gratitude, and peace. Let that feeling carry you into sleep. The subconscious mind responds to repetition. 7 nights creates a pattern. 7 nights deepens the groove in the record, making it more likely that the needle of manifestation will follow that track. But understand that the 7 nights are not magic in themselves. The number 7 appears throughout Scripture as a symbol of completion and perfection. In 7 days, creation was complete. In 7 nights, your new financial consciousness can take root and begin to project itself into your world. There was a woman, I shall call her Margaret, who had lived most of her life in modest circumstances. After her husband passed, she found herself with barely enough to survive. Her children worried about her. They offered assistance, but Margaret had her pride. She did not want to be a burden. One night, Margaret came across these teachings quite by chance. A friend had given her an old book on the power of the mind, and though Margaret had never been interested in such things, something compelled her to read. When she came to the passage about impressing the subconscious mind before sleep, she felt a spark of recognition. That night, Margaret decided to try. She did not know what scene to imagine. She had never been wealthy and could not picture great riches. So instead, she imagined something simple. She saw herself sitting in her living room, holding an envelope that contained unexpected money. She did not know how much or where it came from. She only felt the feeling of surprise and delight, the feeling of being provided for, the feeling that something wonderful and unexpected had happened. She practiced this scene for 7 nights. On the 8th day, Margaret received a letter from an attorney's office in another state. A distant relative she had never met had passed away and left her a small inheritance. The amount was not vast, but it was significant, enough to ease her burdens, pay off her remaining debts, and live comfortably for the rest of her years. Margaret wept when she told me this story. Not because of the money, but because she realized for the first time that she was not alone, that she was connected to an infinite intelligence that responds to the sincere impressions of the heart. She had discovered a law, and that law had operated in her favor as soon as she learned to work with it. Your subconscious mind is connected to infinite intelligence. This is not a metaphor. This is literal truth. The wisdom that governs the galaxies, that grows the trees, that beats your heart without your conscious direction, this same wisdom operates through your subconscious mind. When you impress upon it the reality of abundance, it goes to work in ways your conscious mind cannot foresee. It attracts the right people. It reveals the right opportunities. It guides your footsteps to places you could never have planned to go. It works through what seems like coincidence but is actually the precise operation of law. Isaiah 45 verses 2-3 declares, I will go before thee, and make the crooked places straight. And I will give thee the treasures of darkness, and hidden riches of secret places. The darkness spoken of here is not evil or ignorance. It is the unseen realm of the subconscious, the invisible dimension where your thoughts and feelings take form before they manifest in the visible world. The treasures of darkness are the riches that already exist in potential, waiting only for your belief to call them into expression. But there is an obstacle you must overcome, and that obstacle is the accumulated belief of a lifetime. Most people, by the time they reach adulthood, have received countless impressions of lack. They have been told that money is hard to come by. They have witnessed struggle in their families. They have absorbed from culture the belief that rich people are lucky or dishonest, that ordinary people must work endlessly for meager rewards, that wanting money is somehow unspiritual or greedy. These impressions have sunk into the subconscious and created a pattern of limitation that runs automatically, below the level of conscious awareness. When you begin the 7-night practice, this old programming will resist. You will lie in bed imagining wealth, and a voice in your head will say, this is foolish. This cannot work. You are the same person you were yesterday. Nothing has changed. Do not fight this voice. Do not argue with it. Simply acknowledge it and return to your scene. Return to the feeling. Let the voice say what it will, but give it no energy. Focus instead on the inner movie playing on the screen of your mind, the movie in which you are wealthy, secure, and abundantly provided for. Each night you practice, the old programming weakens and the new programming strengthens. You are literally rewiring your subconscious patterns. You are replacing the image of lack with the image of abundance. And as the inner image changes, the outer circumstances must eventually conform, because the law of mind is that the inner always projects itself outward. The Apostle Paul understood this when he wrote in Philippians 4 verse 19, My God shall supply all your need according to his riches in glory. Notice that he did not say according to the economy, according to your employer, according to the job market. He said according to God's riches, which are infinite, unlimited, and inexhaustible. Your needs are not met from limited human sources. They are met from the infinite source that operates through your subconscious connection to universal mind. But you must claim this supply. You must accept it inwardly before it can manifest outwardly. The 7-night practice is your way of claiming it, of saying to the infinite, I accept my good. I expect my prosperity. I believe that my needs are met according to riches in glory, not according to appearances. Let me tell you of a young entrepreneur, a man I shall call Samuel. Samuel had a brilliant idea for a business, but he lacked the capital to launch it. He approached investors and was rejected again and again. Each rejection hardened his belief that success was not meant for him, that the universe was against him, that the deck was stacked in favor of those who already had wealth and connections. Then Samuel learned about the power of the pre-sleep impression. He decided to try the technique. Every night for 7 nights, he imagined a scene in which he was shaking hands with an investor who had just agreed to fund his vision. He made the handshake real in his imagination. He felt the firmness of the grip, the warmth of the hand, the smile on the investor's face. He heard the words, "We believe in your vision. Let's make this happen." And he felt the surge of joy and gratitude that such a moment would bring. On the 9th day, Samuel attended a networking event he had almost decided to skip. Feeling strangely compelled to go, he struck up a conversation with a stranger. That stranger, it turned out, was looking for exactly the kind of investment opportunity Samuel was offering. Within 6 weeks, the funding was secured. Within a year, Samuel's business was generating profits beyond his initial projections. Was it the handshake visualization that made this happen? In a sense, yes. Not through magic, but through law. The impression Samuel gave his subconscious mind changed his inner state. He walked into that networking event with a different energy, a different confidence, a different expectation. He spoke differently. He carried himself differently. And the investor responded to what Samuel was radiating from within. The subconscious mind also works in ways that transcend the physical. It operates on a level where minds are interconnected, where inspiration flows from one consciousness to another, where what some call intuition and others call providence arranges meetings and opportunities that the conscious mind could never have orchestrated. You do not need to know how your good will come. You only need to know that it will. Your job is to impress the subconscious with the end result, the feeling of wealth, the assumption of prosperity, and then release it, trusting that the deeper mind will find the way. This is where many people fail. They do the technique for a few nights, and then they become impatient. They check their bank account and see no change. They look at their circumstances and find them unaltered. Doubt creeps in. They say, "It is not working," and in that very statement, they plant a counter-intention that neutralizes what they have been building. Patience is not merely a virtue in this work. It is a necessity. The farmer who plants a seed does not dig it up the next day to see if it is growing. He trusts the process. He waters the ground. He waits for the harvest with confident expectation. You must do the same with the seeds you plant in your subconscious mind. The 7 nights are the planting. The days, weeks, and months that follow are the growing season. Your harvest will come in ways and at times you cannot predict. But if you have truly impressed the subconscious with feeling, if you have entered sleep in the state of already having received, then the harvest is as certain as the sunrise. Jesus said in Matthew 7 verse 7, "Ask, and it shall be given you, seek, and ye shall find, knock, and it shall be opened unto you." The asking, in the language of subconscious science, is the impressing. The giving, seeking, finding, knocking, and opening are the manifestation. You ask not with words alone but with the feeling of having received. You ask from a state of belief, not a state of lack. And when you ask in this manner, the door of infinite supply swings open. There is a technique I want you to understand deeply, for it will make your 7-night practice far more effective. When you imagine your scene of wealth before sleep, you must feel yourself into the picture. Do not watch it as if it were a movie playing in front of you. Step into it. See the scene from behind your own eyes. If you are holding a bank statement, see the numbers as you would see them in first person, with the paper in your hands. If you are receiving congratulations, hear the words as if they are being spoken directly into your ears. If you are enjoying the fruits of your abundance, feel the sensations as if your physical body were experiencing them. This shift from observer to participant is crucial. When you observe from outside, the subconscious records the scene as something happening to someone else. When you participate from inside, the subconscious records the scene as something happening to you. It becomes a memory, and memories shape identity. When you have enough inner memories of being wealthy, you begin to believe that you are wealthy. And belief is the master key that unlocks every door. The 23rd Psalm begins, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." This is a declaration of faith, a statement of certainty that divine provision eliminates all lack. When you repeat this psalm with feeling, you are impressing your subconscious with the truth that you are guided, protected, and supplied by an infinite source that never fails. You shall not want, not because you are lucky, but because you are connected to the shepherd who leads you beside still waters and restores your soul. Still waters. Consider that image. The subconscious mind works best in stillness. It is in the quiet, in the calm, in the peaceful surrender of the pre-sleep state that the deepest impressions are made. You cannot force wealth into being through strain and stress. You can only allow it through relaxation and belief. Tonight, when you begin your 7-night practice, enter the stillness first. Take a few slow, deep breaths. Let your body relax. Let your mind grow quiet. Feel yourself sinking into peace. And from that place of peace, gently introduce your scene of fulfilled wealth. Do not strain to make it happen. Simply allow it to unfold. Trust that your subconscious is receiving the impression. Trust that the law is operating. Trust that your good is on its way. The universe does not respond to effort. It responds to conviction. The universe does not respond to begging. It responds to claiming. The universe does not respond to anxiety about the future. It responds to gratitude for what is already done in the realm of mind. As you continue to practice, you will notice subtle shifts in your outer world. Small amounts of unexpected money may appear. Debts may be paid off in surprising ways. People may offer you gifts, opportunities, or connections that serve your prosperity. Do not dismiss these as coincidences. Recognize them as evidence that the law is working. Acknowledge them with gratitude, for gratitude strengthens the impression and accelerates the manifestation. There is a principle I must share with you now, a principle that is often overlooked and yet is essential to the operation of this law. You must not mentally oppose the wealth of others. If you resent the rich, you are impressing upon your subconscious mind a rejection of riches. If you criticize those who have money, you are programming yourself to avoid money lest you become what you criticize. If you believe that wealth is corrupt or that wealthy people are bad, you are creating an internal conflict that will prevent you from becoming wealthy yourself. The subconscious does not distinguish between you and others. What you condemn in others, you deny to yourself. What you celebrate in others, you invite into your own experience. Therefore, when you see prosperity, bless it. When you see abundance, celebrate it. When you see someone living the financial life you desire, say inwardly, "What is possible for them is possible for me." Their wealth is evidence that the law works. I am grateful to see it in action. This shift in attitude may be challenging at first, especially if you have spent years resenting those who have what you want. But the shift is necessary. You cannot attract what you reject. You cannot receive what you condemn. Your mind must be unified in its acceptance of abundance, both for yourself and for all others. This brings us to the concept of deservingness. Many people unconsciously believe they do not deserve wealth. They carry guilt from past mistakes, shame from perceived failures, or a sense that they are somehow not good enough to be prosperous. These hidden beliefs sabotage every effort to manifest abundance. You may practice the 7-night technique perfectly, but if deep down you believe you do not deserve wealth, your subconscious will block its manifestation to keep you consistent with your self-image. You must know, with absolute certainty, that you deserve to be wealthy. Not because of what you have done or achieved, but because of what you are. You are an expression of infinite life. You are a channel through which the creative power of the universe flows. You are worthy of abundance simply because you exist. There is no judgment, no scorecard, no cosmic accountant deciding whether you have earned your good. The law operates impersonally, like the law of electricity. It flows to all who know how to receive it. If feelings of unworthiness arise during your practice, do not suppress them. Acknowledge them. Then gently replace them with the truth: I am a child of infinite abundance. I deserve prosperity. I accept my good now. Let this become an underlying affirmation that supports your nightly practice. Luke 12 verse 32 records the words of Jesus, "Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." The infinite desires to give. It takes pleasure in your prosperity. There is no withholding, no reluctance, no condition. The only barrier is your acceptance. The only obstacle is your belief. Remove the barrier, change the belief, and the kingdom is yours. The kingdom is within you. The wealth you seek is within you. The power to create it is within you. The 7 nights are simply the time you set aside to impress this truth upon your subconscious mind so deeply that it becomes your unshakable conviction. When your conviction is unshakable, your manifestation is inevitable. As you lie down tonight, remember what you have learned. Remember that the subconscious mind is the creative medium that shapes your life according to the impressions you give it. Remember that the pre-sleep state is the doorway through which you can reach the subconscious most directly. Remember that feeling is the language the subconscious understands, and that a scene imagined with vivid feeling will be accepted and projected into your reality. Remember the stories of those who have walked this path before you, ordinary people who discovered an extraordinary law and applied it with faith. Edward, who rose from lack to abundance. Margaret, who received unexpected provision. Samuel, who attracted the investment that launched his dreams. These are not special people with special gifts. They are people who learn to use the power that everyone possesses but few understand. That power is within you now, at this very moment, waiting to be directed. Tonight, you will direct it toward wealth. For 7 nights, you will plant the seeds of prosperity in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind. And then you will watch, with patient confidence, as those seeds take root, grow, and bear fruit in your outer world. This is not a promise I am making you. This is a law I am revealing to you. The law operates whether you believe it or not. But when you believe it and cooperate with it, you align yourself with the creative forces of the universe. You become a co-creator with the infinite. You step into the flow of abundance that has always been available but that you could not receive while your mind was closed to it. Your mind is opening now. The door is swinging wide. All that remains is for you to walk through. You have taken the first step into a larger world. You have received the foundational understanding of the law that governs wealth manifestation through the subconscious mind. Now we must go deeper. Now we must explore the subtle dimensions of this practice that separate those who experience occasional glimpses of abundance from those who live in a continuous flow of prosperity. The 7-night practice is not merely a technique. It is a training in a new way of being. When you practice impressing your subconscious mind with wealth before sleep, you are not simply performing a mental exercise. You are teaching yourself to live from a different state of consciousness. You are learning to dwell in the reality of abundance rather than visiting it occasionally. This dwelling, this habitation in the feeling of wealth, is what produces permanent transformation. Consider the difference between a person who visits a foreign country and one who moves there to live. The visitor sees the sights, tastes the food, experiences the culture, but remains fundamentally unchanged. The resident, over time, absorbs the language, adopts the customs, and becomes a citizen of that new land. Your 7-night practice is your immigration process. You are moving your consciousness from the land of lack to the land of plenty. And once you have truly made that land your home, you will never return to where you came from. There is a man I shall call Thomas who understood this principle with remarkable depth. Thomas had spent the first 50 years of his life in a perpetual state of financial anxiety. He earned a decent income, but no matter how much he made, he felt poor. He worried about money constantly. He lay awake at night calculating expenses, dreading unexpected bills, imagining catastrophic scenarios of bankruptcy and ruin. His worry had become his home. He did not realize that this mental state was the very cause of his financial stagnation. When Thomas learned about the pre-sleep technique, he approached it with the desperation of a drowning man reaching for a lifeline. For 7 nights, he practiced imagining himself at peace about money. He did not visualize vast riches, for he could not believe in them. Instead, he imagined something simpler. He imagined lying in bed at night, completely free of financial worry, feeling secure and calm, knowing that all his needs were met. The first 3 nights were difficult. His habitual anxiety kept intruding on the scene. But Thomas persisted. He gently redirected his attention again and again to the feeling of peace, the feeling of security, the feeling of being provided for. By the 5th night, something shifted. The scene felt natural. The peace felt real. He fell asleep with a smile on his face for the first time in decades. What happened next defied Thomas's expectations. The outer changes did not come immediately or dramatically. Instead, they came gradually and in unexpected forms. A colleague mentioned an investment opportunity that Thomas would normally have ignored out of fear. This time, he felt a calm prompting to investigate, and the investment proved modestly profitable. A family member who had owed him money for years suddenly repaid the debt without explanation. His employer announced a restructuring that resulted in Thomas receiving a higher position with better compensation. But the most significant change was internal. Thomas stopped worrying. He looked at his finances with clarity rather than fear. He made better decisions because he was no longer acting from panic. He found himself sleeping peacefully through the night, his mind quiet, his heart at rest. The financial improvement that followed was substantial over time, but Thomas often said that the inner peace was the greater gift. This is what I want you to understand: the outer wealth is a reflection of the inner wealth. When you become wealthy in consciousness, when you dwell in the feeling of abundance, the physical manifestation follows as naturally as a shadow follows the body. You cannot have a wealthy shadow while standing in the posture of poverty. You must stand in the posture of abundance first, and then watch as your shadow, your outer circumstances, conforms to your stance. The scripture in Matthew 6 verse 33 instructs, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." The kingdom of God is not a place you go after death. It is a state of consciousness you can enter now, in this lifetime, in this moment. It is the awareness of your unity with infinite supply. It is the inner realization that you lack nothing because you are connected to the source of everything. When you seek this kingdom first, when you make your inner state your priority, the outer things you need are added to you without struggle. This is why the 7-night practice begins with feeling rather than action. Most people try to manifest wealth by taking frantic action in the outer world. They work longer hours. They pursue more opportunities. They chase more leads. And while action has its place, action taken from a consciousness of lack produces more lack. The feeling comes first. The consciousness comes first. The inner wealth comes first. Then the action you take is inspired, guided, and effective because it flows from a state of abundance rather than desperation. There was a saleswoman I shall call Rachel who learned this lesson in a profound way. Rachel had been struggling to meet her sales quotas for over a year. She worked harder than anyone in her office, made more calls, sent more emails, attended more meetings. Yet her results were mediocre at best. She could not understand why others who seemed to work less achieved more. The frustration was eating her alive. Then Rachel encountered the teaching about the subconscious mind and the pre-sleep technique. Skeptical but desperate, she decided to try it. Every night for 7 nights, she imagined herself at the end of a spectacularly successful month, receiving congratulations from her manager, seeing her name at the top of the sales board, feeling the pride and satisfaction of exceeding every goal. During the day, something strange happened. Rachel found herself relaxing. The frantic energy that had characterized her work began to dissolve. She made fewer calls but had better conversations. She pushed less and listened more. She stopped trying to convince people and started genuinely connecting with them. Her approach shifted from desperation to service, from taking to giving. By the end of that month, Rachel had exceeded her quota by 40%. The following month, she did even better. Within 6 months, she was the top performer in her region. When asked about her secret, she found it difficult to explain. She was not working harder. If anything, she was working with more ease. The difference was in her. The difference was in the feeling she carried, the expectation she held, the state of consciousness from which she operated. This is the forbidden wealth method that so few understand. It is forbidden not because it is sinful, but because it challenges everything the world teaches about how prosperity is achieved. The world says you must struggle, strain, and sacrifice. The law of mind says you must believe, feel, and receive. The world says wealth comes from external conditions. The law of mind says wealth comes from internal convictions. The world says you are at the mercy of circumstances. The law of mind says circumstances are at the mercy of your consciousness. Now, let us speak about the nature of feeling more precisely, for this is where many students of these principles go astray. When I speak of feeling, I do not mean mere emotion, though emotion is part of it. I mean something deeper, a sense of reality, a conviction of truth, an inner knowing that what you are imagining is real. You can generate this feeling without necessarily experiencing intense emotion. In fact, the most powerful impressions are often made in a state of calm certainty rather than excited enthusiasm. Think of how you feel about your name. When you say your name, you do not doubt it. You do not hope it is your name. You know it with quiet certainty. This is the quality of feeling I am describing. When you imagine your wealth before sleep, you want to feel about it the way you feel about your name, as an undisputed fact, a simple truth, an obvious reality. At first, this will require effort because your conscious mind will present evidence to the contrary. It will say, but my bank account is empty. But my debts are real. But my circumstances are what they are. You must meet this resistance not with force but with gentle persistence. You must remember that appearances are shadows of past consciousness, and that a new consciousness creates new shadows. The present moment is the point of power. What you impress upon your subconscious now will manifest later, regardless of what exists now. The Apostle Paul captured this truth in 2 Corinthians 4 verse 18 when he wrote, "We look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen, for the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal." The visible circumstances of your life, your current financial situation, are temporal. They are passing. They are the results of previous mental states. The invisible reality you are creating in your pre-sleep practice is eternal in the sense that it is causal. It is the seed that will produce the harvest. It is the blueprint that will construct the building. Keep your gaze fixed on the invisible reality you are creating, not on the visible circumstances you are transcending. There is another dimension to the 7-night practice that I must reveal to you now. The subconscious mind operates during sleep in ways that transcend ordinary understanding. While your body rests and your conscious mind is silent, your subconscious continues its creative work. It processes the impressions you have given it. It makes connections you could never make consciously. It reaches out into the infinite network of mind and arranges circumstances, synchronicities, and meetings that serve your impressed desire. Many people have awakened from sleep with solutions to problems they could not solve during the day. Many have received insights, ideas, and inspirations in the morning that seem to come from nowhere. This is the subconscious mind at work, operating during the night hours to fulfill the instructions it has received. When you impress your subconscious with wealth before sleep, you are giving it an assignment. You are saying, in effect, bring me into the experience of this reality. Show me the way. Create the conditions. Arrange the circumstances. And the subconscious, connected as it is to infinite intelligence, goes to work on your behalf with a power and precision that staggers the imagination. This is why the morning after your 7-night practice is so important. Pay attention to your first thoughts upon waking. Pay attention to the ideas that surface during the early hours. Pay attention to the impulses, the promptings, the subtle guidance that comes. Your subconscious may be delivering the answer you have been seeking, the step you need to take, the opportunity you need to pursue. Be receptive. Be attentive. Be willing to act on inspired guidance when it comes. There was a woman I shall call Diane who experienced this phenomenon in a remarkable way. Diane had been praying for a financial breakthrough for years without apparent result. When she learned about the pre-sleep technique, she committed to practicing it with complete dedication. Every night for 7 nights, she imagined herself depositing a large sum of money into her savings account, feeling the joy and security of having significant savings for the first time in her life. On the morning of the 5th day, Diane woke with a strange thought in her mind. She found herself remembering a conversation from years ago, a casual mention by an acquaintance about a particular type of service that was in demand but undersupplied in their community. At the time, Diane had dismissed the information as irrelevant. Now, inexplicably, it felt important. Following the prompting, Diane researched the opportunity. She discovered that she had skills that could be applied in this area. She made a few phone calls. Within 2 weeks, she had her first client. Within 2 months, she had more clients than she could serve alone and was hiring help. Within a year, she had built a thriving business that generated more income than she had ever earned in her life. The information had been in Diane's mind all along, stored in her subconscious memory. But it took the pre-sleep practice to activate it, to bring it forward, to connect it with her desire for financial increase. Her subconscious had been given an assignment, wealth, and it had searched its vast archives for relevant resources, finding an answer that her conscious mind had long forgotten. Your subconscious mind knows more than you consciously know. It has recorded every experience, every conversation, every piece of information you have ever encountered. When you impress it with a clear objective and a feeling of fulfilled desire, it searches its archives and makes connections that produce the result you are seeking. Trust this process. Cooperate with it. Follow the guidance that comes. Now, there is a question that arises for many who practice this method. What about the time it takes for manifestation to occur? The truth is that there is no fixed timeline. Some people experience rapid results within days or weeks. Others experience a more gradual unfolding over months or even longer. The speed of manifestation depends on several factors: the depth of your feeling impression, the absence of contradictory beliefs, the complexity of the circumstances that need to be rearranged, and the mysterious workings of infinite intelligence that sees more than you can see. What I can tell you is this: impatience and doubt are the great destroyers of manifestation. When you plant a seed in the ground, you do not dig it up every day to check if it is growing. Such interference would kill the seed before it could produce fruit. Similarly, when you plant a seed in your subconscious mind, you must leave it alone to grow. Do not check compulsively for results. Do not measure your progress against some arbitrary timeline. Do not conclude that the law is not working simply because the manifestation has not yet appeared in physical form. The law is always working. Your impression is always producing effects. But those effects may be operating beneath the surface, arranging conditions, shifting circumstances, moving people and events into alignment. Just because you cannot see the activity does not mean it is not happening. Just because the tree has not yet broken through the soil does not mean the roots are not growing. Practice the 7 nights with faith. Then continue to hold the feeling of your wish fulfilled with patient confidence. Check your own consciousness rather than your circumstances. Ask yourself, am I dwelling in the feeling of wealth? Am I maintaining my inner conviction? Am I living from the end? If the answer is yes, then the manifestation is certain. It is only a matter of when, not if. Hebrews 11 verse 1 declares, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." This is perhaps the most precise definition of faith ever written. Faith is substance. It is not wishful thinking. It is not mere hope. It is the actual substance of the reality you are creating. When you hold the feeling of wealth in your heart, you are holding the substance of wealth. The physical manifestation is simply the outer clothing that this inner substance will eventually wear. There was an elderly gentleman I shall call Harold who demonstrated the power of patient faith in a way I will never forget. Harold had lived a long life of modest means. At the age of 73, having recently lost his wife and facing declining health, he might have concluded that his financial destiny was fixed. But Harold had the spirit of a student. He encountered these teachings and decided to apply them, not for himself, but for his grandchildren. He wanted to leave them something meaningful. Every night, Harold imagined himself giving generous gifts to each of his grandchildren, gifts that would help them start businesses, buy homes, pursue education. He felt the joy of generosity, the satisfaction of providing for those he loved, the pride of leaving a legacy. He practiced this scene with perfect faith, knowing that he was planting seeds in the creative soil of his subconscious mind. Harold did not know how this would happen. He had no obvious source of wealth to draw from. But he trusted the law. Over the following 3 years, a series of unlikely events unfolded. An old investment Harold had forgotten about suddenly increased dramatically in value due to a corporate acquisition. A piece of property he had inherited decades ago and considered worthless was purchased by a developer at a premium price. A distant cousin passed away and left Harold an unexpected inheritance. By the time of his passing at 81, Harold had accumulated enough to give each of his 7 grandchildren a substantial gift, exactly as he had imagined. His grandchildren, to this day, do not know the full story of how their grandfather's quiet prayers in the night produced the provision they received. But the law knew. And the law delivered. Time is not an obstacle to the subconscious mind. The infinite intelligence operates beyond our limited perception of time. What seems like a long wait from the human perspective may be the perfect unfolding from the divine perspective. Trust the timing. Continue in faith. Your good is coming. Let me now address a subtle but crucial aspect of the 7-night practice, the importance of specificity. While the feeling of general abundance is valuable, the most powerful impressions are often specific. Rather than simply feeling wealthy, create a specific scene that implies wealth. Perhaps you see a specific number in your bank account. Perhaps you hold a specific object that represents abundance to you. Perhaps you experience a specific moment of celebration or achievement. The more specific the scene, the more concrete the impression, and the more precisely the subconscious can work to produce it. However, there is a balance to be struck. You must be specific about the what without being rigid about the how. Define clearly what you want to experience, the end result, the fulfilled desire, but leave the means open to infinite intelligence. Your subconscious mind, connected to the wisdom of the universe, knows pathways and possibilities that your conscious mind cannot conceive. If you insist on a particular how, you may block a better way from opening. A man I shall call Victor learned this lesson through experience. Victor wanted to increase his income substantially. Using the pre-sleep technique, he imagined receiving a large promotion at his current company. He saw himself in the corner office, felt the weight of new responsibilities, heard his colleagues congratulating him on his advancement. He practiced this scene faithfully for 7 nights. The promotion did not come. Months passed. Victor grew discouraged. He began to doubt the law. Then something unexpected happened. A competitor company approached Victor with an offer to lead a new division they were creating. The position paid significantly more than the promotion he had been imagining. The opportunity for growth was far greater. The work was more aligned with his true interests and abilities. Victor had been so focused on one specific pathway, promotion at his current company, that he almost missed the larger answer to his prayer. His subconscious mind had heard his true desire, which was not for a specific title but for increased income, greater responsibility, and professional advancement. It had delivered exactly that, but through a different channel than Victor had prescribed. This is why I encourage you to focus on the feeling of the end result rather than the specific mechanism of delivery. Feel wealthy. Feel prosperous. Feel secure. And then let the infinite intelligence determine the how. Now, let us speak about a practice that will amplify the power of your 7-night technique: gratitude. Gratitude is not merely a pleasant emotion. It is a creative force. When you feel grateful, you are acknowledging that you have received. You are confirming the reality of your good. You are aligning your consciousness with the state of having rather than the state of wanting. The opposite of gratitude is complaint. When you complain about your circumstances, you are impressing your subconscious with lack. You are affirming poverty. You are strengthening the very conditions you wish to change. Every complaint is a prayer for more of what you do not want. During your 7-night practice, let gratitude permeate your feeling. As you imagine your scene of fulfilled wealth, let thankfulness fill your heart. Say inwardly, "Thank you for this abundance. Thank you for this provision. Thank you for this answer to my prayer." The gratitude makes the scene more real to your subconscious. It seals the impression with an emotional charge that accelerates manifestation. And beyond the formal practice, cultivate gratitude throughout your day. Thank the infinite for what you already have, no matter how small it may seem. Thank it for the air you breathe, the food you eat, the roof over your head. Every expression of genuine gratitude opens you to receive more, because gratitude is the consciousness of receiving. Psalm 100 verse 4 instructs, "Enter into his gates with thanksgiving, and into his courts with praise." The gates of the infinite are opened by thanksgiving. The inner courts of abundance are accessed through praise. When you approach your subconscious practice with a heart full of gratitude, you enter the sacred space where creation happens. There was a young woman I shall call Maria who transformed her financial life through the deliberate practice of gratitude combined with the 7-night technique. Maria had grown up in poverty. She carried deep beliefs about scarcity that she had absorbed from her environment. When she first attempted the pre-sleep practice, she found it almost impossible to feel wealthy. The feeling was foreign to her. It did not match her identity. Her subconscious rejected it as false. Then Maria discovered the power of gratitude. Instead of trying to leap directly into the feeling of wealth, she began by practicing gratitude for what she already had. Each night, before beginning her wealth visualization, she would spend several minutes thanking the infinite for the blessings in her life, her health, her friends, her small apartment, her modest job. She would genuinely feel thankful until her heart was warm with appreciation. From this state of gratitude, she would then gently introduce her scene of greater wealth. And something remarkable happened. The scene felt natural. The feeling of abundance was an extension of the feeling of gratitude. What she could not access directly, she could access through the doorway of thankfulness. Over the following year, Maria's circumstances shifted dramatically. She received unexpected opportunities. She made connections that advanced her career. She found herself moving into greater and greater prosperity, not through struggle but through a kind of graceful unfolding. She attributed her transformation entirely to the combination of gratitude and pre-sleep impression. Let me now speak to you about the role of the spoken word in reinforcing your practice. While the pre-sleep technique operates primarily through feeling and imagination, the spoken word has power as well. The words you speak throughout the day either support or undermine the impressions you make at night. If you spend your nights imagining wealth and your days speaking poverty, you create a contradiction in your subconscious mind that delays or prevents manifestation. Therefore, guard your speech. Speak words of abundance, not words of lack. Instead of saying, "I cannot afford that," say, "I choose to invest my resources elsewhere." Instead of saying, "I am poor," say, "I am prospering." Instead of complaining about expenses, give thanks for the ability to pay them. Every word is a seed. Plant only the seeds you wish to harvest. This does not mean you should pretend that challenges do not exist or refuse to deal with practical matters. It means you should address challenges from a consciousness of solutions rather than problems, from a state of faith rather than fear. You can acknowledge a temporary shortage while affirming an incoming abundance. You can face a bill while knowing that provision is on its way. Proverbs 18 verse 21 declares, Death and life are in the power of the tongue. This is literal truth. Your words have creative power. They reinforce the impressions of your subconscious mind. They shape the mold into which your life is cast. Use this power wisely. Speak wealth. Speak prosperity. Speak abundance. And watch as your words become flesh in the world of experience. There was a businessman I shall call Charles who reversed a failing enterprise through the deliberate application of spoken word combined with nightly impression. Charles had started a company that grew promisingly for several years before entering a severe decline. Market conditions changed. Competitors emerged. Revenue dropped month after month. Charles found himself speaking constantly about the problems, to his employees, to his partners, to his wife. His language was saturated with fear and pessimism. When Charles learned about the power of the subconscious mind, he realized that his own words were accelerating his company's decline. Every negative statement he made was a prayer for more negativity. Every complaint was a command to his subconscious to produce more of what he was complaining about. Charles committed to a dual practice. Each night, he would imagine his business thriving, seeing happy customers, receiving large orders, feeling the satisfaction of success. Each day, he would catch himself before speaking negatively and redirect his words toward solutions, opportunities, and faith in the turnaround. It was not easy. The temptation to complain was strong, especially when circumstances worsened before they improved. But Charles persisted. He disciplined his tongue. He guarded his thoughts. He maintained his nightly practice with unwavering commitment. Within 6 months, the decline had stopped. Within a year, the company had not only recovered but exceeded its previous peak. New opportunities had emerged that Charles could never have predicted. Strategic partnerships had formed that strengthened his market position. Customers who had left returned and brought others with them. Charles often said that saving his business required first saving his mind, transforming his inner conversation from death to life, from lack to abundance, from fear to faith. This is the work before you. This is the path you have begun to walk. The 7-night practice is your foundation, but the building you construct upon that foundation consists of your daily thoughts, words, and feelings. Make them consistent with your nightly impressions. Let your waking hours reinforce what your sleeping hours have planted. Create a unified consciousness of wealth, and wealth must manifest. Now, as we approach the completion of this teaching, I want to leave you with a vision of what is possible for you. You are not limited by your past. You are not defined by your current circumstances. You are not bound by the beliefs that have been handed down to you by family, culture, or society. You are a creative center of consciousness, connected to the infinite source of all supply. You have within you the power to impress your subconscious mind with any reality you choose, and that reality must eventually manifest in your world. The wealth you desire is not outside you, waiting to be earned or won or received from external sources. It is within you now, as a potential, as a seed, as an unmanifested reality waiting for your belief to call it into expression. The 7-night practice is your way of calling it forth. Each night, you water the seed. Each night, you nurture the potential. Each night, you strengthen the inner reality until it becomes so strong, so vivid, so real to your subconscious mind that it has no choice but to manifest outwardly. This is not a struggle. This is a surrender. You are not forcing anything into being. You are allowing what already exists in the realm of infinite possibility to take form in the realm of physical experience. The struggle has been your resistance to this truth. The effort has been your attempt to do consciously what only the subconscious can do. Let go. Relax. Trust. Allow. Isaiah 40 verse 31 promises, "They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength, they shall mount up with wings as eagles, they shall run, and not be weary, and they shall walk, and not faint." Waiting upon the Lord is not passive idleness. It is active trust. It is maintaining your inner conviction while allowing the infinite to work in its own perfect time and way. When you wait in this manner, your strength is renewed. You rise above your circumstances. You move through life with an ease and grace that was impossible when you were straining and struggling. Many have walked this path before you and found it true. Many have applied these principles and witnessed transformations they once thought impossible. Many have gone from financial desperation to financial freedom, not through luck or chance, but through the deliberate application of the law of mind. You are joining their number now. You are becoming one who knows the secret, one who works consciously with the subconscious, one who plants seeds in the night and harvests abundance in the day. This knowledge, once truly understood and applied, will change your life beyond recognition. Begin tonight. Let the first of your 7 nights be this very night. As you lay your head upon your pillow, let go of the worries that have plagued you. Release the doubts that have held you back. Enter the silence within, and in that silence, create your scene of fulfilled wealth. See it. Feel it. Know it as real. And then drift into sleep with the peace of one who has already received. When you wake tomorrow, you will be different. Perhaps the difference will be subtle at first, a quieter mind, a calmer heart, a strange sense of hope you cannot quite explain. But with each passing night, as you continue the practice, the difference will grow. Your consciousness will shift. Your expectations will elevate. Your vibrational state will rise to match the reality you are impressing upon your subconscious. And then, in ways you cannot predict and through channels you cannot foresee, your outer world will begin to shift as well. Money will come. Opportunities will appear. Doors that were closed will open. People who can help you will enter your life. The universe, responding to your new consciousness, will orchestrate circumstances in your favor. This is not fantasy. This is the operation of law. This is the science of the subconscious mind demonstrated in the laboratory of human experience by countless men and women who discovered that the treasure they sought was buried in their own garden, waiting only to be unearthed by belief. As you go forward from this teaching, carry with you the certainty that you are supported by infinite intelligence. Know that the power within you is greater than any obstacle before you. Trust that the law of mind operates with mathematical precision, bringing to you exactly what you have impressed upon your subconscious with faith and feeling. The 7 nights await you. The practice is simple. The results are profound. And the life you have dreamed of is closer than you have ever imagined. May you walk in the light of this truth. May your subconscious mind receive the impressions of abundance you give it tonight and every night. May your outer world transform to reflect the wealth you have claimed within. And may you awaken, morning after morning, to money, provision, and blessings that your logical mind cannot explain but that your heart knows were always yours to receive. These teachings are offered to you for your education and inspiration, representing an original creation rooted in the timeless philosophy of the subconscious mind and the principles of prosperity consciousness. What you do with this knowledge is your choice, your responsibility, and your opportunity. Apply personal judgment. Take inspired action. Seek wisdom from many sources. And above all, test these principles in the laboratory of your own experience, for only there will you discover the full measure of their truth. Go now in peace. Go in confidence. Go in the absolute assurance that the infinite power within you is awakening to a new expression of abundance. Your wealth is awakening. And so are you.